This is the video on indirect command. So I'm looking at the chapter 51 story, Marcus Comes of Age, that we started working on in class. And I'm noticing a few places where I see verbs of commanding. And even in witawara, invite, can be a command, like if you invite somebody to do something. So I'm seeing in witawara there. I'm seeing rogabat, he was asking. Praikipiebat, he was ordering. Let's see. Orabat, asking, and then imperabat, commanding. So we can see a few of these words. Here's another one, rogawit, asking, and maybe you're starting to notice that there's a similar thing that's happening after them. Maybe you're seeing ut, and what kind of verb is that with that ire in there? Or here ut, and here the ere. And nay, oh, that's a little different than ut with this ere, or ut with that ere. What kind of verbs are those where we take a stem plus an are, an ere, or an ire, and then an ending? Yeah, those are our imperfect subjunctives. So then what we have are these verbs of commanding or asking. We're just going to call them all verbs of commanding. Some of them will be firm commands like order, and some of them will be softer commands like to ask or to invite, plus ut. And what did I have when it was negative? Yeah, I had that right there, the nay. Plus what kind of a verb were those? That's right, they were imperfect subjunctives. We just need a subjunctive. We're using the imperfect because our main verbs here are all in the past tense. So we'll talk about that sequence of tenses again that we looked at last week. So what I have to create this structure, this indirect command, is the verb of commanding, like, let's find a good one, like rogabat, and then the ut, in this case since it's positive, and the subjunctive. So let's look at that all together. I've got he, that is the janitor, because we've been talking about him. Where is he? Right up here. We've been talking about the janitor. So he was asking some people, alios, ut precederent. What does he want them to do? Procedo. To proceed into the house. And that's how we normally set up an indirect command in English. We like to use the infinitive. He was ordering some to proceed into the house. In Latin, we use ut or ne plus the subjunctive. So let's look at the next one. Praikipieban, he was ordering aliis, others, to monorent, to stay, right, in via, in the road. And then these people were oraban, were begging who were they begging? That's right, that's the doorkeeper. These people were begging the doorkeeper, nay, so this one will be negative, not to send them away or not to dismiss them. And then that guy, who's that guy? The doorkeeper, was ordering them, however, was ordering them to do what? To discederent? To go away immediately. So now look at this next one. We've got finally, with everything ready, Cornelius asked his whole family, what did he ask them to do? Ut convenerent, so to come together into the atrium. So I'm going to pull up one of those examples and we'll look at it a little more closely. Okay, so here's an example, and I've got my main clause right here. So here's my main clause. The janitor, the doorkeeper, rogabat, was asking some people, because we're going to have more alii later. And then what comes after that is what he actually asked. So this all is the direct object of the verb rogabat, and it takes the form of, that should be an ut. Let me fix that real quick. I'm not going to be able to actually fix the typing, so I'm just going to write it right over it. Ut. Sorry about that. So that takes the form of ut. Or if it had been negative, we would have ne plus a subjunctive. And that creates our indirect command, which we'll abbreviate as IDC. So let me write that down for you here. IDC is indirect command. So we already had IDQ, which was indirect question, and IDS, which was indirect statement. Now we have our last type of indirect speech, IDC, indirect command. And this one uses ut or nay plus a subjunctive. And we're going to have some verb in the main clause that starts it off. That is a verb that deals with things like asking, commanding, ordering, begging, and in this case, that's rogabat. So I've got the sentence, he was asking, the doorkeeper was asking some people, and then what he's asking them to do is that ut to the subjunctive. So he was asking some people to procaterant, to proceed or to go forward into, in domum, into the house. And that's all you're doing to create this indirect command. So I'm going to have 2 practice sentences for you on the next slide. Okay, so for your homework, the first thing I want you to do is to look at each of these sentences, identify the indirect command, parse the verb in the indirect command, so that's give the person, number, tense, voice, and mood, and then translate the sentence. And the other thing I want you to do is to write down the list of verbs that take the indirect command. Those are on page 107 of your book. So let me write that down for you. That's not what I meant to do. We're going to go right down here. Page 107, list of verbs. So I want those in your notebook with your notes on the indirect command so that you have this list of verbs that regularly introduce indirect command. There are 9 of them listed in your book. So you'll have these 2 sentences with the identification of the indirect command, the verb parsed, the sentence translated, 2 of those, and then the list of the 9 verbs on page 107. Thank you.